Morning glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. The fetching Mrs. Hewitt's birthday. And for each of the 23 years that I've been in the air that we have celebrated the fetching Mrs. Hewitt's birthday, we always play our song. It's the only song I will dance to anymore because I don't like to embarrass people. You know, it's like when a stair would take to the floor. But she certainly is lovely, and she is playing the grandmother this morning. I think with Genghis Kate more than Terrible Teddy. But the infant, she's off, and I've had my successful second day of ice cream and pretzels diet. Dutifully watched my hour of Joe Pickett and my hour of We Own This City. Did all my work, got everything done, and am ready now to tell everyone in California, go and vote! Now, I left you, California, 6 years ago. I left my heart in Orange County, but I left you. And I understand that I'm an outsider. I'm an unfaithful voter. I departed. I did not want to pay your taxes or be governed by your crazy people. But I still feel for you. And Generalissimo and Adam and Jacob still have to live there. And Ben, now, Dwayne hasn't voted yet. Dash Patterson has been a voting scofflaw. Adam has voted. I'm not sure if Jacob has voted, but I'm here to give you your Hugh Hewitt voter guide to California. Run away. After that, I would like you to please vote for, first of all, every Republican running for Congress. It's very unlikely we'll pick up any seats, but I sure would like young Kim and Michelle Steele and Mike Garcia and David Valadao and, of course, Kevin McCarthy is going to win. He's got a pretty secure district. But they really took a cleaver. The alleged independent redistricting committee, like everything else in California, is completely bonkers. And so they're trying to screw, and I'll find the other good ones after the dust settles. There's no telling what happens in these primaries. But do remember young Ken and Michelle Steele in Orange County, Mike Garcia, Dave Aladeo in Ventura and the Central Valley, Kevin McCarthy, of course. But here's the key deal. You got to vote for Lan He-chen for controller. You got to vote for Nathan Hochman for attorney general. These are two serious people, and those are the two jobs. You're not going to beat Gavin Newsom. There's no one running. I don't know who's going to be the nominee against Gavin Newsom, but you can't beat that much money. They had a one-on-one shot. Larry Elder had a one-on-one shot, and he showed that only 30% of California gives a lickety-split about the fact that Gavin is governor. So Gavin's going to win re-election, and more taxes and more crazy stuff is coming. I had a friend sell a piece of property in California who called me up and said, "Do you know what I have to do to sell to get out of California?" And they've got this new disclosure law that takes like an hour and a half to sign 49 different declarations of basically sue me on this, sue me on that. But in any event, California's ungovernable, and that's just the reality. But let's start by getting a controller, Lan He-chen, who can tell you where the money didn't go. For example, Los Angeles had spent $1 billion in bonds allegedly on taking care of their 70 to 100,000 homeless people, and nobody knows where the money is. Then let's get an attorney general, Nathan Hochman, who will actually prosecute people. And then probably in the most important vote of the day, in San Francisco, vote yes on H. Hugh Hewitt, H. Hugh Hewitt, H. Vote yes on H. That will recall Chesa Boudin, who isn't prosecuting anyone in San Francisco. And what a surprise, crime has skyrocketed in San Francisco. All the liberals inside the Beltway, by the way, are rallying to Chesa. They think he's just grand because they don't have to live in San Francisco. Now, I'm not going back to San Francisco. I've been twice in 4 years. And the last time I went with the fetching Mrs. Hewitt, for her birthday, mind you, to see Hamilton when it was up there. And we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton. And as we stepped over syringes and human waste, and as is our practice, pray for every homeless person that you walk by because it's misery, the toll of San Francisco on the census is so overwhelming, we just said, we're not coming back. And I know a lot, and I love San Francisco. I love to go there. I've been there many, many times. I love to broadcast there in the old. I've got the best signal in the world. It's just what Chesa Boudin and the crazy people running their school board and their city council and their county supervisors have done to San Francisco ought to be criminal, but it's not. But start by turning it around. Get yourself a prosecutor, someone who will actually prosecute lawbreakers, and then you will have a beginning. I will have a complete rundown on tomorrow, but I'm going to tell you many times, Lan He-chen for controller, Nathan Hochman for attorney general. Vote for your local Republican, Young Kim or Michelle Steele or Mike Garcia or David Valadao, Kevin McCarthy, of course, and vote yes on H in San Francisco. Now, I haven't said much about LA this morning. That's because I don't want to jinx it, but here I go. Rick Caruso might get 50%, which would be great. Angelina, Dwayne, have you gone up to LA to vote a few times yet? Because everyone can vote in California a half dozen times if they really want to.
Yeah, you can, certainly, but no, I have not gone to LA.
Are you one of those people who, old-fashioned people that say that would be wrong?
No, I'm one of those people that would not go into LA unless I'm armed to the teeth.
Okay, I get you. Well, look, I know it's wrong to vote more than once, and I'm not seriously suggesting that. But, hey, LA, you have one shot at this. If you put Representative Bass in the mayor's office, that 100,000 becomes 200,000. If you elect Rick Caruso, and by the way, I've never met Rick Caruso in my life. It's like when I was doing nightly news and public affairs for KCET and Reardon ran. And I didn't think he had a prayer. But you know what? After the riots, Reardon was exactly the right guy that LA wanted because they said, you know what, this is pretty bad what's happened here. Well, LA is dystopian nightmare. It is zombie apocalypse.
It's great if you have Kurt Russell with an eye patch.
Yeah, it's a great movie set. Really, any dystopian Blade Runner. I should rewatch Blade Runner, from the Harrison Ford Blade Runner, because it's LA now. So Rick Caruso, now he's made some mistakes in life. He's all mixed up with USC. And he's trying to dig USC out of a hole that it dug it for itself. That's not a joke. Rick Caruso is doing the best that he can to right that ship. They got themselves a football coach now, and they've got themselves, the kids may have to go to class sometime in the next 4 years, and the fraternities may have to close the bar before 3 in the morning. Everything at USC, they might get trumpets for the band. Everything is going to change. But Rick Caruso has done a good job at USC, but he would be a much better mayor than anybody else in the last 25 years, since Reardon. And I mean, it's hard not to be better than Garcetti. And if they don't get Caruso, the Olympics are going to be a giant screw-up. It's going to be the biggest embarrassment for America in 2028 if Rick Caruso does not win in LA. Now, it's possible that he could win today. Now, I will run down the news, and we will do an extended, highly concentrated Hugh today to make sure I get through the news. But I just did want to make sure you people in California get up and get voting. I'll mention that again. I am stunned into almost, not really, I can always talk. But the New York Times has a headline today. I woke up to this, 4:15 in the morning. January 6 hearings give Democrats a chance to recast midterm message. Honesty from the New York Times headline writer. January 6 hearings give Democrats a chance to recast midterm message. With their majority at stake, Democrats plan to use the 6 high-profile hearings to refocus voters' attention on Republicans' role in attack. So you see, like I told you from the beginning, this rump committee, which isn't a real committee, because it departed from the rules of every other committee and every other Congress from the beginning of the country. This rump committee is political, and they are timing their hearings because they are very desperate. Nothing has gone right. Everything is a fiasco. Joe Biden doesn't know what month it is or what country he's in, much less what policy he's pursuing or why he's going to Saudi Arabia to shake hands with someone he thought was a bad guy. Apparently, he threw a hissy fit about that when he found out he got handlers. So his handlers are sending him to Saudi Arabia because they need oil. Otherwise, the Democrats are going to get wiped out anyway in the fall. And they know that. And if you're giving money to Democrats right now, you might as well just put it on the barbecue and light your barbecue with it. Because they're all going to get wiped out because they've done such a horrible job. I mean, horrific job. But this at least tells you what the January 6th non-committee hearings are about. Trying to give them something to talk about. It won't work. Why? Because you have to fill up your gas today. Why? Because if you're driving into San Francisco, your doors are locked and you probably have a crowbar. Why? Because if you have a bicycle in San Francisco, you have to take it inside or hire security. And there isn't anyone who's willing to work that job. If you're in LA and you got to drive downtown, you're afraid of hitting someone in the middle of the street. And I'm not kidding. That's really what we've got. Blade Runner, California under Gavin Newsom, and Orange County's Young Kim needs to win. We got Young Kim has got to win. Stay tuned, America. I will run down the news and remind you to get out and vote, California, right after this. If you're in California, get up and vote. I've told you Lan He-chen for controller, Nathan Hochman for attorney general. So get to work on time. Make sure you vote before you go to work, because one of your supervisors, don't tell anyone who you voted for. Goodness knows. Gosh, no. You might have a crazy lefty progressive running the office. I voted. Yeah, and wink at him. I voted. Just wink at him. Even though you're in San Francisco and you went in to say, Chesa Boudin, you are out of here. Shall Chesa Boudin be recalled, removed from the office of district attorney, yes or no? That's measure H. H is in hilarious that it took this long to vote Chesa Boudin out. He should never have won. By the way, the ACLU is opposing this. So there you know. There you got everything you want. And then it's on page, if you got a voter pamphlet, it's on page 85, I think. It's on page 96. The recall measure in the San Francisco ballot guide. I went looking for it this morning. To the Honorable Chesa Boudin. There is nothing honorable. I am honorable. I got confirmed by the Senate in 1987. So I'm actually honorable to you. Dash calls me honorable off air. I don't make him do it on the air. It says Honorable Hugh. It's a very, I think, appropriate. But Chesa Boudin, there's nothing honorable about what he's done to San Francisco. And you can boot him. You can drop kick him. You can toss him through the uprights today. You can also vote for Lan He-chen for controller and Nathan Hochman for attorney general and the local Republican to get into the runoff somewhere. Kevin McCarthy will get in. Young Kim will join us a little bit later. Nathan Hochman's going to come in a little bit later. But go vote for Rick Caruso, L.A. I guess I'm going to do the rundown on the news afterwards because I just got diverted here. Ilya Shapiro quit Georgetown Law School yesterday because in a sham, they said, you can have your job, but you can't say anything that upsets anyone ever. It's a heckler's veto. And Ilya said, go to hell. Yeah, he really did. And good for Ilya. And I hope AEI or Heritage or one of the smart people in town gives him a job. The trouble is, every law school in America is going woke. And Georgetown, if you give money to Georgetown, don't. Georgetown is no longer a Catholic university, and it certainly doesn't believe in the First Amendment. Georgetown is woke. Georgetown is broke. And I wouldn't send my kid to Georgetown. All right, let me run down the news of the morning. I've told you there are elections in California today. Angelenos need to vote for Rick Caruso. In San Francisco, you need to vote yes on H and throw out Chesa Boudin, the non-prosecutor. In Orange County, you got to vote for Young Kim and Michelle Steele. Mike Garcia deserves a vote up in Ventura. Dave Valadeo deserves one in the Central Valley. Kevin McCarthy, of course. Just wherever you are, vote for the Republican. But there are also elections underway in Montana. Ryan Zinke's coming back, and that's good. He'll win. South Dakota, I'm not sure people are alive there. They'd have come out. I haven't seen anyone moving around in South Dakota recently. New Jersey, Iowa is having elections today. So Ashley is going to win. Mississippi is having elections today, and New Mexico. Not sure if any of the races there are on the takeover screen. I get the takeover list. How do we win the Congress back after the primaries are done? Redistricting ended up giving Republicans about a 3-seat advantage. Mostly it made safe seats safer and some Democratic seats bluer, but the Republicans should be in charge of the Congress come January of next year, and they can end the rump committee that will meet tomorrow night. Wall Street Journal, Rick Caruso's millions upend Los Angeles mayoral race. Well, good for Rick Caruso. If you want to spend money on saving your city, the first thing you got to do is get elected to be mayor. Long story as well in the New York Times on how Chesa Boudin managed to get everybody in Democrat land in California to hate him because he kind of pulled back the mask on the George Soros thing. If George Soros is backing your friendly neighborhood prosecutor, that means the abandonment of the rule of law and crime will run rampant in your streets, as will open-air drug markets in the Tenderloin and sex trafficking. So if you want San Francisco, vote for a Soros prosecutor. Spontaneous order, Karl Popper, all that nonsense that George Soros believes in, it didn't work. It turns out we need laws and police. A conservative quits Georgetown's law school amid free speech fight. No, there was no free speech fight. Ilya Shapiro didn't do anything wrong. He tweeted exactly what Joe Biden said. He was going to appoint an African-American woman to the United States Supreme Court, and he did. Ilya tweeted that dramatically, I'm paraphrasing, on the pool of applicants, which it did, and so they suspended him he tweeted that, by the way, before they hired him. And then they reinstated him, at the end of which they sent him a letter saying, don't say anything anywhere, anytime that gets anyone upset. And he said, screw this, I'm not going to work for your nut house. And Georgetown Law School is now a nut house. And their dean knows it, and their donors know it, and I hope that nobody gives them a dime. It used to be a Catholic university. It's not a Catholic university anymore. Elon Musk is going to walk away from Twitter, looks like, smells like. They will not tell him how many spam accounts there are. And I can't believe that, Dash. How many people follow you? Like 1 million people follow Dash Patterson, radio blogger?
No, not 1 million. Probably 850,000, something like that.
And so how many of those are bots, do you think?
830.
Yeah, there you go. So we're not really... Elon Musk is not exactly discovering new information here.
Everybody knows that they're mostly...
They're bots. They're bots and they're Russians, etc. The Proud Boys ex-leader Enrico Tarrio and 4 others charged with seditious conspiracy. Well, good, if they're guilty. That was time to somehow try and prop up the zero public interest in the Rump Committee non-committee hearings. That was a headline in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post. A group supporting Herschel Walker gave out gas vouchers. Democrats in Georgia cry foul. You're not allowed to buy votes, but I think it's kind of ironic that Democrats are complaining about this. After all, walking around money was not invented by Republicans. I don't know what Herschel did. Herschel's going to win anyway. Do not get between Herschel Walker and a Georgia voter. Just don't. Orange County, California is the subject of a New York Times primary election update, and they point out how it might not be good that the Chevron station across from John Wayne Airport, by the way, that's next to Gulliver's, where you want to get the meat. You don't go to Gulliver's for the fish. You go to Gulliver's for get the meat. Get the meat, all right? I've been doing ads for Gulliver's for like as long as I've been on the radio, 30 years. Gas at that station across from John Wayne Airport next to Gulliver's is $6.59 a gallon. This is a fairly famous Chevron station in the Hugh Hewitt show history. Back in the day when Marlin, the unique, we just call him Marlin the unique, was the Jacob of the day and the go-to guy and the get everything done that needs to be done. Marlin was supposed to pick me up at the airport. And when I appeared on the airport steps and Marlin wasn't there, he said, I'm at the Chevron. And I said, what? I'm at the Chevron. Can you walk over? I said, well, I'm at LAX and the Chevron is across from John Wayne, so that's not going to work. So we knew we had a Marlin problem. But right now, gas is at $6.49. And they think that might be bad for Democrats because it was half that when Joe Biden was elected president. What do you think, Dwayne? Patterson, what do you think?
You are so out of touch. I can throw a rock from the studio here and hit a gas station that you know, right? Mm-hmm. And that gas station's at $6.89.
Oh, my goodness. You mean it's a deal? That Chevron is for people who are returning their rental cars and will pay anything except whatever the rental car company charges.
You're reading old news, brother. We are on the cusp of $7 gas here in Orange County. We are on the cusp. We are right there.
How does anyone vote for Karen Bass in L.A.? Really? How does anybody vote for a Democrat anywhere in this country at $6.89 a gallon?
And then on top of that, no cops.
No cops and $7 gas. Welcome to the Democratic nirvana. Really, if you're out there voting for a Democrat this morning, God bless you. Something's wrong with you. Maybe you like walking. You know who it is? It's Ed. It's Ed Begley. Ed is going to vote for Karen Bass today, right? Because he rides around on a bicycle fueled by lawnmower clippings or something.
James Cromwell, the really crazy old school radical lefties.
Yeah, that is just amazing. $7 gas.
We're within a whisper. By By next week, at the rate they've been climbing, we will be at $7 gas in Orange
But don't
County.
vote for Lonnie Chen for controller and Nathan Hochman for attorney general because you want $8 gas. Whatever you do, don't vote for Young Kim or Michelle Steele or Kevin McCarthy or David Valadeo or Mike Garcia. Don't vote to recall Chesa Boudin. Don't vote for Rick Caruso because you want $9 gas. And you want more homeless people. That's exactly what you want. So you just go
no
on.
cops on the street.
And no cops. California, you get what you pay for and you get what you vote for. And you are now caught in the I got out. I am an escapee. And so I can look on it with somewhat of a sad objectivity as to what the City of Angels has become. Remember, I did the nightly news in LA for 10 years. I started in talk radio there in 1990. I moved there in 1978 out of college, and it was glorious. San Clemente, California in 1978, you could live on $10,000 a year because that's what RN paid me because I didn't know anything, didn't have any skill set. I could push a noun against a verb, and that's what he paid me to do. And research, but you could drive around, you could live, you weren't at high school, you weren't at junior high yet, but you could live in a beach apartment in San Clemente and I mean.
For 10 grand a year?
10 grand a year.
That ain't happening now.
No, that ain't getting you into the beach apartment and I live by myself. It was the fetching Mrs. Hewitt saw it and said, I'm not coming back to this place. You better move. So I moved and I got a roommate.
10 grand might be 3 months rent.
No, I don't know. 10 grand is like a homeless encampment. But San Clemente doesn't allow that. That's only allowed in LA. Let me finish, will you? Another New York Times headline. New York officials fear Supreme Court ruling will mean more gun crime. There's no politics at all in the New York Times. If as expected, the Supreme Court strikes down the New York City gun regulations as being absurd and onerous and obstructive of your basic Second Amendment rights, that's not going to cause more gun crime. Gun crime is caused by criminals by and large. And New York City's gun control has not stopped people from getting shot by strangers on the subway. So you're not going to persuade me of that. Phil Mickelson has joined the Saudi-backed LIV Golf and will play in the inaugural event. Rumored to be worth $20 million to Phil Mickelson. I will go play for that. If the Saudi ambassador would like me to come out of retirement to play in the fledgling LIV tour, I will do that. China secretly building People Liberation Army Navy facility in Cambodia. I'm here to tell you, it ain't secret. I went there the year before the shutdown, whatever year that was, and I saw it being built. And our guide said, that's the Chinese Navy facility. I said, huh? I mean, it was all rebar at that point. It's been 3 years of building. So they are going to host large Navy vessels to the west of the South China Sea, Cambodia. Boris Johnson survived, but man, did he get gashed. Oh, did he get gashed. He had a vote of confidence last night, and 41% of the members of parliament on the conservative side voted to throw Boris out. That is an open wound. Theresa May, quote, survived such a leadership challenge better than Boris did, and she was gone in 6 months. Because you're bleeding. You're bleeding out. They've cut the femoral artery or whatever it's called, femoral artery. What do they call that artery? They call it an artery.
They do call it an artery. It's
they call it an artery.
Artery.
Femoral artery. It's been cut for Boris, and he's going to bleed out. Thai security forces are said to have foiled Iranian attempts to attack the Israelis in Thailand. Good for them. Saudi Arabia moves towards eventual ties with Israel. That's good. Looks like Joe Biden has figured out that the Abraham Accords begun by Donald Trump were a good thing, and we should bring in all of the anti-Iranian groups together because Iran's going to get hit by the way, Israel was targeting Iranians in Syria last night. South of Damascus, may their aim be good. In a major blow to the Israeli coalition, 2 of its members helped defeat a vital West Bank legal bill, which means that coalition has fallen apart faster than Boris Johnson's prospects. And that is the rundown. Get out and vote, California. Vote yes on recall Chase Boudin in San Francisco. Vote yes on H. H is for Hugh. Vote yes for it. Vote for Rick Caruso in L.A., Lonnie Chen for controller, Nathan Hochman for attorney general, and Michelle Steele, Young Kim, Mike Garcia, Dave Valadeo, Kevin McCarthy. Why do I do that? Because it's all going on to the highly concentrated Hugh podcast. The highly concentrated Hugh podcast, which you subscribe to, is available at iTunes, at Spotify, at Salem Podcast Network. It's right there. Go and subscribe to it. Morning, Glory America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. Hugh Hewitt. Today is a big day because it's the fetching Mrs. Hewitt's birthday, but it's also election day in a lot of states across the United States. I'll follow all the results tomorrow. But I have Young Kim with me. Congressman Young Kim represents northern Orange County, which includes the Richard Nixon Library, birthplace and final resting place of President Mrs. Nixon. So Young Kim is one of our favorites, and I know she's on the ballot today, and I know she's going to win, but I thought I'd begin the day anyway. What's your day look like, Congresswoman? You're going to be at every poll from 6 a.m. on?
From 7 a.m. when the polls open, I will be still door knocking, and I'll be making calls to encourage everyone to get out and turn their ballot in or vote in person. Thank you very much for having me today, Hugh.
Oh, it's always good to talk with you. I like seeing you at the library, but I'm inside the Beltway, and I know you're campaigning. I am curious if my friends at the Morning Answer on AM 870 have talked to you. We got to get you reelected, and I don't know what the district. What happened to the district? Did it get more Republican, less Republican?
So it turned more Republican leaning. So
good.
It is now turned Republican seat, R+6 district, but it comes with its own challenges, as you know. So the current district, I am really excited that I won in the last election cycle, even when Joe Biden won by 10 percentage points, because that's important when you work hard, you try to talk to the people with the right message, and that's what we've been doing. But the new district is more down to South Orange County. It's California's 40th district where I'm running for re-election. But you know what, Hugh? I am really excited that the new district still has City of Yorba Linda.
Oh, good.
And I've been very, very, excited to be able to work with many people. Most recently, I was at the Nixon Library, laying the wreath on Memorial Day weekend. And your friends at the library, as well as Salem Communications, they were out there doing the Meet the Candidates event. So I've been able to get on the program, talk about my race, the importance of getting everybody to cast their ballot, because this is midterm election. Everything could be decided by a few votes. So everyone needs to get out and vote today.
Now, Congressman Young Kim, the biggest problem, I think, for your campaign is that people may blame you for gas prices, even though you are a Republican and have nothing to do with this disaster. But I cover California gas prices because Dash Patterson, my producer, tells me every morning what he paid for. Is that what people are talking to you the most about, gas prices?
Yes, among other things. But as you know, Joe Biden blames everyone but himself. And now he's blaming Ukraine for the higher gas prices. But we all know, and you lived here in California before you went back to Beltway,
Yep.
We all know the gas prices were very high before the Ukraine crisis. And this administration has actively cut off domestic production. I've been fighting with my colleagues, especially on the Republican side. We have been calling on this Biden administration to unleash the energy production in the United States when we have trillions of barrels of clean oil we can produce, yet this administration has actively cut off our production from day one when he got into the office. He needs to understand it's better for our economy, national security, and environment to produce energy here in the United States instead of relying on other countries. And he needs to stop blaming everybody. But
amen to that. I am curious. You should have a walk in the park today. You should have a walk in the park in the fall. But I know you work as hard as any other congressperson. What do you think about Rick Caruso in L.A.? And what do you think about Lanhee Chen for controller and Nathan Hochman for attorney general? Is California beginning to wake up that they can't just elect Democrats, or they're going to get what they got, which is dystopia in L.A. and at San Francisco?
I really hope that the Californians wake up and do not give up on California, that we can once bring back the golden state that it once was. Every time I walk around, they also ask, what is your recommendation for our, statewide down ballot? I talk always about Lanhee Chen, a dear friend. I believe he's also your dear friend, too.
Yes, he is.
We need to help elect Lanhee Chen for controller. If anything, Lonnie is the one that we can win statewide elections and change that seat and bring it back to the R column, the Republican column. Lonnie is the one to do it. And I'm also supporting Nathan Hochman. He is the right choice for Attorney General. We've stomped and, been at many different, stomping events together. I'm supporting him too. So there are great candidates running for all different offices. But again, today, Hugh, I'm focusing on my race so that I can get back into the office. My goal is to also not only win my race, but help other candidates running for different congressional seats. As you know, we just need to win 5 seats to take back the House. But I'm working hard to ensure that we not only win 5, but a lot.
I'd like to see 50, actually. I think gas prices, we're going to win 50. Last question, Congressman Young Kim. I want to make sure people know which cities are in your district. Now, this is hyper specific, but a lot of people are on the road driving to work. You're going to represent Yorba Linda. What other cities are in the 40th?
Yorba Linda, Anaheim Hills, eastern part of Brea. We also have Chino Hills in San Bernardino County. But I'm also, running in the cities to represent Villa Park, Tustin, Orange, Aliso Viejo, Mission Viejo, Laguna Woods, Laguna Hills, Lake Forest, Rancho Santa Margarita, Coto de Casa, and there are a lot of
oh my goodness, that's like that's nuts. Yeah. I don't look at the maps anymore, but that goes from the top of Orange County. Did you reach down to San Diego? Did you get to Pendleton?
No, not that far down there, but I am really excited to have all of these wonderful cities in South Orange County that I get to represent. But again, let me remind everybody, this is a fierce race going on down in, 40th District. People need to understand I'm a proven fighter. I've won tough races, and I know I can win, but I cannot win without their support if they don't go out and turn their votes. I've been fighting for to stop the inflation, lower gas prices, securing the border, improving the federal investigation for our organized retail crimes that's on the rise in California. I'm combating painful inflation. I've introduced legislation. I'm getting the bills out of the House. I have bills that sign into law. I am a proven, effective, conservative Republican. People need to get out there. This is one race we cannot afford to lose.
I agree, Young Kim.
Right here in California, in my district.
I'm handing you back to the producer, Dash, who lives in Tustin. So you better get him out of his bucket and get him going because he's slow and lumbering and he needs to go vote for Young Kim this morning. Congratulations, Congresswoman, in advance. I know you're going to win, but people need to get out and vote in the 40th. They need to get out and vote in California generally. Thank you, Congresswoman. Welcome back, America, and happy birthday, Fetching Mrs. Hewitt. It's Election Day in many places across the country, especially in California. I've told you to get out and vote for Young Kim and Michelle Steele and David Valladeo and Mike Garcia. Lonnie Chen for controller. Vote for Rick Caruso in L.A. Vote the DA, Chase Bodine, out by voting yes on H. But listen, every Californian can vote for my guest, Nathan Hochman, who joins me now. He is running for Attorney General. Good morning, Nathan. How's it look today?
Good morning, Hugh. It's looking great. We've accomplished our goals, Hugh. We raised over $2 million. We've got endorsements from everyone from Governor Pete Wilson, Darrell Issa, the California Republican Party, Kevin McCarthy, every Republican Congress member that is endorsed, every California state legislator that's endorsed, DA, law enforcement. And we've gotten at our Republican, very conservative safety and security message across the entire political spectrum. And of that $2 million, 40% of it is coming in from Democrats and independents who are equally fed up, afraid, and frustrated with the far-left agenda of our current California Attorney General, Rob Bonta. So I'm looking forward to a great election day, Hugh, and thank you for asking.
Now, Nathan Hochman, it's very important that people find you on a long ballot, and the AG's race can get buried sometimes on the long ballot. Where are you on the ballot? Where do they find the Attorney General's race? Right below governor?
Yeah, so right after the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and controller, you'll see the Attorney General. There's 5 of us. Nathan Hochman is the one I would ask people to vote for. I'm the leading Republican challenger to Rob Bonta. Even though the far left, Hugh, actually has taken $1.5 million and tried to use that to promote the weakest candidate in the field. If you can imagine that, they've run ads on conservative media for a month with $1.5 million. The far left trying to pick out someone, in essence, on the far right.
Yeah, they do not want to face you, Nathan. They don't,
No.
and I know that. They are desperate. They're trying to play this game against young Kim, who I had on as well, by nominating someone who's not electable. And you are the only electable Republican because you're actually a real lawyer and you actually want to prosecute people.
Right. I mean, I have 30 years of criminal justice experience as a federal prosecutor, 7 years when it narcotics traffickers and gang members. Then President George W. Bush nominated me to be the Assistant Attorney General of the U.S. Department of Justice's Tax Division. We went after tax cheats across the nation. Then I had the chance to even be a defense attorney and the president of the LA City Ethics Commission. And that's in contrast, Hugh, to the absolute zero law enforcement years of our current Attorney General and that weak opponent that I mentioned before. So I've got 30 against 0, and they don't want to face that in the general election.
Nathan Hochman, the hardest thing to do, though, is to get local media, which is hard. I mean, the LA Times is so left-wing, it's lunatic now. Has any old school media endorsed you? Has anyone come up and figured out that California is falling into the Pacific and they need Nathan Hochman for AG?
Well, Hugh, I've been endorsed by, again, the California Republican Party and all the major slates out there, from the Howard Jarvis slate to the COP slate to the senior citizen slate to, taxpayer revolt slates. And so the major slates have not. The far left magazines and newspapers have not endorsed me. The LA Times gave me a 10-minute interview and basically wrote me off as soon as they found out that I wanted to bring back safety and security to California and that was going to be my priority.
I'm really praying that Rick Caruso wins today and that you do, Nathan, and that Lon he does, because the state's in a mess. I mean, you've gone up and down. I know you've done Skid Row. I know you've gone along the boardwalk in Orange County. I know you've been up in San Francisco. I don't think the rest of the country understands how lawless California is.
You're absolutely right. When you live here, it's stunning. I've lived here all my life, Hugh. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, 80s and 90s and the noughts. And watching what's going on today in 2022, even compared to 2014. 2014 was considered one of our safest years. But then we passed a bunch of laws that weaken prosecutors, weaken law enforcement. And then we got ourselves Gascon and Boudin, some of the most far-left, progressive, Soros-funded prosecutors in the nation. We've watched two of the great cities on planet Earth, Los Angeles and San Francisco, literally go off a cliff when it concerns safety and security. And my goal is to bring that back, to basically bring back using pragmatic, Republican, conservative ideas of partnering with the police, funding the police, and making sure crimes have consequences to restore safety and security for all Californians.
Good luck, Nathan Hochman. I'm sure my colleagues on AM 870 The Answer, on 590 The Answer, in San Diego, in San Francisco, in Fresno, my affiliates all across the state, will be out there pushing Nathan Hochman, Lan He Chen, and your local Republican congressperson. I'll give you the results in the morning.